Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today you'll be taking on the role of a band member chosen by the gods of metal, seeking to defend reality against the demonic forces as the overlords want to destroy all of reality. You'll be cooperatively working together, trying to win and save the universe by defeating those overlords. Gods of Metal, The Chosen, is a game of destruction and greatness for 1 to 4 players, takes 30 to 90 minutes to play, and is published by Laughing Rogue. It's on Kickstarter right now. I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are prototype. You're going to want to see the Kickstarter project page directly. There's a link in the description of this video to click there. That will bring you there to see all the final art and components. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to select a band member, and these band members play different instruments like the drums or guitar or singers. So each player is going to select one of these. That band member you'll have for the whole game, and they're going to end up giving you some special abilities as well. So let's say we selected Fred Mars, the singer. Now that band member is going to come with a starting deck of 12 cards that have their instrument on there, in this case the microphone. Now this is a deck building game, so over the course of the game you're going to be using these cards to do different things and purchase other stronger cards. The object of the game is to defeat the overlords by playing songs and hitting them with loud music of huge decibels. Now you can play with 1, 2, or 3 overlords for an easy, normal, and hard game. I've got 2 of them out here, and if you're able to defeat both of those, you'll win the game. I'll show you how you do this later. However, you will lose if over the course of the game, this token goes up the metal track to the skull, and that's mostly going to be happening by your band members being defeated, and some cards that come up might make this go up as well. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about that as well. So each band member is going to start with 11 health, and they're going to have their draw deck of their starting cards. At the beginning of the game, each one's going to draw 6. That's going to be their starting hand each turn, although my special ability here is a hand size of +1, so I could actually draw 7. Also, he's a part of Speedbach, and anybody else, like if there's another member of the band in that, they also can discard a card to draw a card on their turn. So those are sort of some special abilities that happen. So we could draw, up, in this case, up to 7. So at the beginning of a player's turn, the first thing that happens is the Overlord's abilities trigger. And in this case, we're playing with 2 of them, so they both trigger. This one says the Demon deck cards have a +1 health. We're going to go over that in just a moment because that's the next step. But this one says the current player has to discard a card or loses 2 hearts. So as long as these are still here, meaning they're not defeated, those are going to trigger at the beginning of every player's turn. Now here's the 7 cards that I drew. Again, I have a +1 hand size. I've put the light cards together. Now these are usually in your hand, but I have them down the table so you can see them. We've got to discard a card. So if we don't, we would have to lose 2 health, and I don't want to do that right now. So we'll just discard a card. It will go into your discard pile. Each player has their own discard pile, and over the course of the game, throughout turns, you're going to be drawing more cards. And when this is ever empty, you're going to shuffle your discard pile and put it back into your draw pile. Then the next thing we do is we spawn a card from the Demon deck. So we'll just look at this one here. Now, by the way, we'll talk about this. This says all players lose 2 health and discard a card. Now this has a health of 4. Now over the course of the game, cards and things are going to allow band members to get decibels. This is how you're going to be defeating both Demon cards and the Overlords. So at the beginning, we don't have any, but if you did, you could discard these off your card to, collaboration of you and all the players can get rid of a certain amount to get rid of this and not trigger this. So if we're able to discard 4 decibels, we're able to hit this with those 4 decibels, not triggering this. But if we don't have any or we don't want to, then this triggers. In this case, all players will lose 2 health and discard a card. So now we're down from 11 health to 8 health, and we've got to discard our card. We could choose which one to do that for. And once this is resolved, this will go to the Demon discard deck. Now, this metal track is important. I told you earlier that if this ever gets to the skull, you've lost the game. However, every one of these will get turned for every number that you're at here. So at the first 3 spots, you're only going to take 1 of these cards like I just showed you. But if you're here, you're going to resolve 2 of them one at a time. Here, 3 of them one at a time. So the further this gets down, the harder it's going to get. Now that all those bad things have happened, the active player now gets to at least play some cards and do some good things. So for example, we have a power chord here. You can either gain a decibel, or while this card's in your hand, you can remove this card from the game, meaning completely out of the game for good, and have a band member gain 2 health. Well, it's still early, so what we want to do is we want to gain a decibel. So this will go in my discard pile, and we'll gain a decibel. it's a token like this. It goes on the band member. And these are going to be used again to fight off those demons that we saw and the overlords once we get a song going, which we'll show you in just a moment. Speaking of songs, look at this card here. It's warming up. We can overturn one song card and choose another player to gain a health. Cool, we'll play this one. This will get discarded. So we're going to overturn one of these song cards. Now there's 3 parts to a song, beginning, middle, and end. So we'll flip this over, and this is the middle. So this has, the middle name of the song is Brings the Pain Of, has some lyrics. Now, what's going to happen is, this is the middle of the song. So once this song is completed, certain things on this card are going to trigger. And who's going to be triggered is going to be told by the beginning of the song. So you're going to need one of each of these. Now, if you pull a song up and it's already a spot that you have, like the middle, players can decide to discard some of that decibel currency to, take that card out and put the new one there. And you can do that to try to fill that spot. Now, if these are empty, you're trying to get those filled. A whole beginning, middle, and end to have a song in order to spend decibels to try to defeat the overlords. We'll go over that in just a moment, but these are the 3 pieces of the song that you're trying to get. Now we have these 3 roadie cards left. You can spend them to gain a metal power, that's that icon, or while it's in your hand, you can remove it from the game for good to draw 2 cards. We're going to spend all 3 of these cards to get 3 metal power. And you have these as tokens here. It's just sort of a form of currency. We're going to use these 3 metal powers to purchase cards out in the metal row. So essentially you spend those tokens and you can buy up to 3 in this case. And if you had more, you could buy as many cards as you could afford. And the cost of these are in the upper right. And these cards will do all sorts of different things. Sometimes they just do an effect. Sometimes it's a stage upgrade. It goes here and does certain things that are ongoing. Sometimes it's an instrument upgrade that can be attached to somebody like us. We're a singer. So this is a card that can only be attached to a singer like us. Sometimes you'll be getting some costumes which allow you to do things. In this case, you'd overturn another song card. Now, any card or cards that you purchase will go right to your discard pile immediately. And then over the course of the game, you're going to be drawing cards at the end of your turn. And again, when you run out of these cards, you'll be shuffling this discard pile to be your new draw pile. And eventually this card's going to come back in your hand. And when you play something like this on your turn, when you get it back in your hand, you'd attach it directly to that band member and it would remain in play. And you could buy a single card from the meta row for -2 metal power. But it has to be discarded once the song you're working on is completed. So it's for a little while you'll have the screamer. And different cards do different things. Again, if this card ever came back and you're able to play it, you'd overturn one of these song cards, again, trying to get the song finished. But if you're forced to discard the card, all players can gain a decibel. Now, Laser Lights is a stage upgrade, so when you buy that, it comes through your hand, you end up playing it again. It will go into one of the 2 stage upgrade spots, and they do different things, like, hey, this remains in play on the stage, and then once per turn, the current player can discard a card to gain 2 decibels or 1 health. But when it's discarded from the stage, you place it in the metal discard pile. So essentially it's going to stay on the stage and do certain things for you. The cross promotion is just an effect where each player will gain a decibel and a metal power. And the lights come up as another effect. You can either gain 1 health and 2 decibels, or you can overturn a song card trying to finish that song. Now, once you're done purchasing everything, you can discard 1 card from here if you want to go to the metal deck discard pile over here. And then you're going to slide everything to the right and put a new card or cards up, depending on how many you needed to fill the board with. Then you would draw back up to your hand size. It'd be the next player's turn, starting with that overlord phase. Now, speaking of that phase, as we saw us lose health, if you ever go to 0, this band member has been defeated. And if that happens, you'd have to remove any upgrades if you had them attached to them. You'd have to discard all the tokens that they have on there. Then you would start back up with 11 health again. And the metal track would go up by 1. Remember, this is telling you how many demons you have to resolve during that demon portion of the turn. And if it ever gets here, you lose. There's other ways that these get driven up as well. In the metal deck, as cards come out, some of them might be like a surprise attack, which, when revealed, basically you have to move this metal track up by 1. Now let's talk about finishing one of these songs. If you have a beginning, middle, and end, it's kind of fun to read it. This is "The Paranoia Brings the Pain of the Sacred Lands." Now what's going to happen is, again, here I told you earlier that a certain target's going to happen from that beginning card. This one says target all players and overlord. Sometimes it might just say current player, or things like that. Now depending on what this says, that tells you which of these are going to trigger. In this case, it's all players and overlord. So all players will gain a health, cool, but the overlord will increase that metal track by 1. Ouch, that hurts. And then when the song is completed, all players gain 1 health, which is cool. Now that the song is completed, if you remember, all band members have been gathering these different decibel tokens and placing them on themselves. All band members will take all of these decibel tokens and place them on the different overlords. And players can put them on one or more overlords as they see fit, and they would start putting them on there like this. And as you count them up, if you have more than 5, you can flip them over. And let's just say we did 6. Now this needs 6 times the number of players. So if we're playing with 2 players, you'd need to have 6 decibels here at the end of the song in order to completely defeat this. If we stop now, then the song would be over. You'd discard those song cards, and that would be it. But if this ever got to 12, for example, with 2 players, this would be defeated and gone. And again, you're in this case halfway to winning the game, and this no longer will trigger. And of course, if you're able to defeat all the overlords out there, depending on your difficulty, that's how you win the game. But once you finish that song, it goes into the song discard deck, and you're gonna have to work on another song and build up those decibels in order to do this again. That's pretty much how the game works. Again, you're trying to keep this from going up, and you're trying to get decibels, play songs, and defeat the overlords to win. Now I'm going to show off some of the other overlords that are possibly in the game. We just used those 2, but there's 5 other ones here. Go ahead and pause the video here if you want to read what these different abilities do. And here's a small sampling of some more of those demon cards that activate each round. And feel free also to pause here to read these abilities. And here's a sampling of some more of those metal cards that you can purchase with the costs on the right. Again, feel free to pause and read what these abilities do. Well, there you have Gods of Metal, The Chosen. And as I showed in the overview, it's a cooperative deck building game with a unique theme where you're managing the currency of metal power to purchase upgrades from the metal deck and trying to get enough decibels played on the songs to defeat the overlords. Now, if you'd like to see the final art, the components, and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me in the description of this video, and it will take you directly to the Kickstarter project page. And I'm sure the fine folks at Laughing Rogue would love your support.